What's up, guys? It's your boy obbldude. Today we're doing a little bit of a special mining run and a little bit of a different mining run. So you guys have been suggesting that I use the TerraAmp 4 or the TerraAmp 5. Well, the thing is, with the TerraAmp 5, I'm still in a learning period, which means I'm still not maxed on it, which means the efficiency is going to be terrible. Um, so I grabbed the TerraMaster uh, 4 instead of the TerraMaster 5. Now, here's the thing. Also, you guys mentioned to run the level 5 amp as well, and to start mining, and once we start getting drops, to then amp up. And I've heard that strategy before, and I get um, what that strategy, like the theory behind that strategy. I get that, but the thing is, yeah, I feel like this is going to happen a lot too. We're going to miss a lot. Um, But the thing with that strategy is the minute that you put an amp on, the chances of you actually getting a hit go down considerably, no matter where you are in an area or anything like that. So, oh yeah, what's the range on this guy? Is it the same as what I'm used to? Range. Yeah, it's about the same. And that's the thing too. I bought this one because this has a crazy tier increase. Now, I don't know how good it's gonna be. Um, and I'm curious too, what is our spend per drop? Okay, so not even a ped in decay, which is decent. And then we have 150 here. So, wow, a 250 spend, 2 ped, 50 pec spend, unamped. Not bad. And we're back in Tower Town. That's why I call this place now is Tower Town. So we're mining in Tower Town. This might not be the best place to do it with this kind of stuff. I'm going to try to just do a minimal size run here. That way, if you guys have any suggestions on where you would like me to go run this kind of setup with an amp, uh, you can let me know in the comments below. So a lot of you guys know I play for efficiency, and I play to be efficient, and I try not to spend a crazy amount all at once like this. Because right now we're in for 470 ped. Now, if I was using the F106, we would be in for TT of 35, which would barely decay, and then whatever we have in probes, which we have 100 ped right now in probes. So this could have been a 100 ped run, but now it's turned into a 470 ped run between the amp and this finder and the probes. So that's the difference. And if you get a bad run, that can be devastating. And I'm just running this and I'm doing this right now because I thought it'd make for a decent video, and that way I can like show you guys why I don't do this. If I was in FOMA, maybe I would stay amped the whole time for sure. So maybe if I was at FOMA. But even still, I got the F106. Like, I don't really need to use any other finder right now until I'm like probably level 50 or 60, where I start using the TerraMaster 6 or the TerraMaster 7 more efficiently. So I really have no reason to run this, just because if I throw that level 5 amp on the F106, I guarantee you we would probably have better results than what we're doing right now. Like, we're gonna do this drop. I want to show you guys something. Okay, good. We got a pour. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. This finder is only 30 meters in search depth more than what my F106 is running right now with the enhancers on it. So there's really not a bit. So we're gonna pretty much get the same stuff with this finder unamped, but we're gonna miss a lot more because it's a level 14 amp versus, a level 14 finder versus a level 3 finder. To me, what I'm doing here right now is what I call gambling in Entropia Universe. Because it is. Because you're spending way more than you need to when I could use the F-106, get the same results, and spend 4 to 5 times less than what I'm spending to do this. Now, as far as the amping strategy goes, my plan is if we get a small or a double drop with this finder, what I'm then going to do is instead of just double dropping like I would do to try to see if it's a good area for that has a lot of stuff, I'm going to throw the amp on, do one drop, and we'll kind of just see. I don't want to waste the amp too much right now, um, because at some point I would like to go somewhere, maybe here or somewhere else where I'm running the amp like the entire time. Very poor. See, I mean, our hits are no better. And this is what I expected, but if I just made a video talking about it, I feel like a lot of y'all wouldn't believe me. So I'm going to show you the exact thing. So on average with the F106, our worst run is usually about a 15 to 20 ped max worst loss. Um, if we're if we're spending anywhere from 50 to 100 ped. And our best runs max is up to like if we spend 100 like 95. I've done that multiple times with the F106 where I spend 100 in probes, get 95 ped back. Um, so here's what I want to do though. I want to throw this amp on real quick. And I just want to see something. I want to do one drop with this with the amp on and we'll see what happens and then we'll do the F106. And my theory is we'll actually get a hit off the amp with the F106. That's my theory. Who knows? We might get a decent hit here. Okay, average. So I'm thinking maybe we want to run the amp, honestly. I mean, at the same time, we could have spent only 310 ped, and we could have gotten the same exact claim with the F106. Because using the F106 or F105 or an unlimited finder, you're gonna have a lot better efficiency. Because number one, you're not gonna have to pay markup every time. Number two, um, your decay is a lot less. Number three, you don't have to spend the full TT value when you buy on auction like the TerraMasters. If you want to run just 35 ped like what I got and throw like 20 ped in each time for repairs, that brings costs down even more. But what I'm doing here is how you lose a good amount of ped really, really fast. Now, I'm going to stay amped on this, I think, for the rest of the run, to be honest, because I feel like we're going to get a lot better luck with the amp actually on it. But I'm just curious what would happen if we go to the F106 real quick. Now, we might miss here since we got an average drop there, but who knows? But I'm just curious. I want to do a little comparison side by side a little bit. Even though I've run this setup so many times, not so much with the amp, but just like the setup in general so many times, so I have a decent idea of what the averages are. But who knows? Maybe running the amp, yeah, medium. So I mean, I don't think that was as big as the other one, but I mean still, we're getting hits. That was 8 ped for the crude, and that was our first crude hit. So now we can kind of see. I have a feeling this is like 5 ped, I think, if I remember correctly when it comes to medium. But my point is, I can get pretty much the same results, if not better results, spending a lot less. And most likely better results because our costs are lower running the F106. So, I mean, since we have it, there's really no point to be using the TerraMaster 4 or even the 5. Um, from what I've seen, just because I plan on, tearing up the. Yeah, we got a little more from. See this. So I mean, that's what I'm saying, guys. Like, it's the exact same thing. Like, it really is the same thing that what I'm running right now with the F106. So we're gonna throw this back on, and we're just gonna keep running with this one. Now I could be wrong, but I mean, the F106 is the most efficient finder that you can get for a miner. Like, straight up. Like, there might be some unlimiteds that are better. I'm not sure, as far as the full scope of everything that's out there. But when it comes to finders, the F106 is one of the top finders that you can run at almost any level efficiently, or at least from 20 and above, you can run it efficiently, and you can keep running it and make a good amount, and even amping up. I mean, we're gonna lose so much more um, with the Terramaster. I know we are. Like, we're wasting probably. Okay, good. Average of force. We needed the force. See, I feel like the hits are better with when it's amped. That's the other thing too. It's like you got to spend an extra 200 ped just to make this finder better. Because it needs to be better. Because then otherwise, compared to the F106, why are you even using it? But this is my point, guys. I've done a lot of research and a lot of digging into trying not to break the bank in Entropia. And this might work out well for us. We're going to see. Um, and we're going to put decay in this as well because the decay will be a considerable factor in this. Um, but I mean, we are getting averages, which is good, but I'm pretty sure the mediums are bigger by a little bit, I think. I might be wrong on that. Um, so I mean, I feel like we got a bigger hit with the F106. I don't know. I'm curious. I want to try this one more time. I'm not going to do this the entire run, but I'm just really curious just to get a little side by side. We might do this like no more than 3 times max. But I just kind of want to see what might be better. And it's still going to be kind of hard to gauge because since I'm doing one at a time, one of them's gonna miss, and then the other one's gonna make up for the other one regardless. But take my word for it. If you got the F106, I wouldn't even bother with the Terramaster 4. If you have the F105, the Terramaster 4 might be beneficial because it does seem like it's the equivalent of the F106. As far as results go and efficiency and even decay a little bit. I mean, I think the decay is a little bit more, but to me, the oh, I never even ran the amp. I forgot to run the amp, or maybe I detached it. I don't know. We'll just detach this and we'll throw it back on here because the main thing here is about the Terramaster 4. So if you have the F105, the Terramaster 4, I would say would be an upgrade, 100%. As far as efficiency goes and total that you have to put out in front, I don't think it's worth it. If I was doing a regular run like I normally do, I would still have like 500 ped in my ped card, and that'd be a lot more manageable than, ooh, nice. Then that would be a lot more manageable than putting it all out here like this at one time. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm doing a double drop. And I almost want to do two in a way. But we're doing it right here. And if we get a hit again, we'll hit over here. Nah, we missed it. We're just going to cut our losses there. But just the amount of ped that you have to put out in front, to me, it's not worth it just because the risk management is harder to manage. And the chances of losing can be higher. Now, I will say I do like this level 5 amp because it's got a lot of ped value to it, and the decay is not super bad either. Um, so this is kind of an ideal way to amp up. And I was going to do a video about amps and talking mainly about the level 5, but we might just talk a little bit about it here. Um, if you want to try to be efficient, or at least at the level I'm at, but get a boost without missing a bunch of times, the level 5 is probably the best way to go. Because any more, you're gonna run the risk of missing a lot. Um, and even in general, when you amp up, the chances of you hitting a claim are harder. But if you're more efficient, higher level, and using stuff below your level, um, and even considerably below your level, um, you won't notice it as much. But even though I can technically run a level 13 amp, a level 10 amp, etc., it's going to be harder for me to get hits because the hits are generally going to end up being bigger per hit. So naturally, it makes sense that it works that way. But that's kind of where the gambling factor comes in for me because I would much rather be getting stuff with markup and be getting consistent hits where each hit is pretty much either giving me my money back or giving me a little more. See, we're getting the decent hits, but we're not getting markup right now. And that's the other thing too when you amp up. It's not only harder to get hits, but it's also harder to get the actual good markup stuff that you want. Depending on how you're amping up, you could be finding, a bunch of beryllium and a bunch of maybe like copper and maybe a bunch of like maybe some gas or something. And then you amp up and now you're getting listerium and crude oil and maybe a couple other things. That was not a good hit for an amp. We can get blasterium hits like that um unamped on the F106. I mean, maybe a little less, but we've gotten a 5 ped hit easily on the F106 unamped before. So I mean, we're spending so much to get the same results. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, if I took off this amp, I'm gonna take off this amp for a minute because this is looking like a little not. Look, I mean, you saw it at the beginning when I didn't amp or have the amp on. I mean, we were getting poor, very poor, like we do with the F106. Now, if we can get an average hit without the amp, okay, you might have an argument, okay? But the chances of that happening consistently are probably pretty low anyway. And honestly, I'd be lucky to get through 3 tiers on this finder. See, that's what I'm saying. It's if you have the F106, the Terra Master 4 is pointless. And if you have the F106 and you're at Prospector and Surveyor level 22, you do not want to use the Terra Master 5 because it's on a learning period. You're going to get more skills, yes, but you're gonna not get as good of a return, which means you're gonna spend more and have less in your ped card. And the less you end up coming back with in your ped card, the more you do that, the quicker you're gonna have to redeposit again. And that's what I'm trying to overall mitigate as much as possible. Um, just because of the risk and the fact that you don't get, ridiculous profits in this game. So you really got to kind of think about your costs and keeping that low as well as being able to do what you're doing efficiently and get your money back. Like I can guarantee you guys we'll probably lose 25 to 30 ped this run. I can guarantee that almost. Like doing mining for me this way is probably the equivalent of my returns when I'm hunting, which aren't very good. Um, so yeah, we'll see what else we can get here though. And that's the thing too, with this insane tier rate of like 1300. Well, I wouldn't say it's insane. I mean, compared to what you usually see on auction, which is like 65 out of 4000 tier rate, which is what you usually see, um, it's quite high. But even still, I don't see us getting to tier 3. I mean, there's probably a way, kind of like with hunting with extenders, where you could like extend the life of the finder maybe, but I don't know nothing about that, and I'm like, well, fuck it. There might be a good efficient way to run limited stuff. I mean, I know for guns there is. Um, like if I'm using the LR 15 or 20, I'm probably gonna throw an extender on it, just because those guns decay so fast. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, like, if I ran out with even an LR10, I mean, that's like a 20 to 30 minute hunt for me, and then I gotta go get another gun. Um, so like with that stuff, I definitely do that because it doesn't make sense not to at that point because you're gonna end up spending a bunch over and over anyway. As long as the extender can like last you a good amount with multiple weapons, then it's definitely worth it. And that's the main reason why I got the F106. Because I mean, I spent probably, I think it was 100, no, 1,000, 1,700 ped on the F106 I spent. And I got it with 3 tiers unlocked. So I spent 170 bucks on that finder. So I'm not opposed to spending money in game. I'm opposed to wasting money in game. Because the reason why I was able to make almost a $200 purchase on one single finder is because I knew the long what I was going to get out of it totally outweighed what I was going to spend. Because the F106, I'm going to keep tiering up, and it's got a really good tier rate, and we're almost at tier 4, which that's another big investment I'm going to have to make is getting that upgraded. But the thing is, if you tier it up to tier 10, that F106 finder will last you until level 50, at least. At least. It will do you very well up until 50. And then, depending on what your search depth is at tier 10, which is going to be close, if not over 1,000 search depth, then it's not going to make any sense to use a finder that's below that. Honestly, it's not going to make any sense. So at that point, that Terramaster 5's pointless to use. The Terramaster 6 even would be pointless to use, I believe. Or it would be the exact same level, maybe. So that's why I'm saying at that point, at 50 or 60, then you could probably upgrade to something like the Terramaster 7 and then be able to use that probably pretty well as long as you're not in a learning period. And then you're actually upgrading your mining runs. Now, I could be wrong. We might come back with over TT value of what we spend. But you see, we're not really getting markup though. We got force, which was nice because we need some force. This isn't bad, but we only have a ped of it. And this is like but it's like only 2 ped. So I mean, we're getting a bunch of list and crude at the same time. So not only are we spending a lot more at once, but we are also not even getting the markup we need because I've gotten decent stuff here with decent markup here before. Nothing crazy, like I say. When it comes to mining, I'm not going for 50% or 100% or 500%. Right now, just because it's Calypso and it's like, I mean, there's not like ridiculous crazy stuff to find as far as mining goes when it comes to the markups. Although there are stuff with 30% and stuff out there. But with the way I mine and the efficiency I mine, I can make a 5% markup and be up. Not just break even, but up. So that's why at minimum I go 5%. And then that way too, it gives me a lot more opportunities to mine in various places and still be okay. We've already run through over 20% of this amp. I mean, of this finder. God, dude, this is how you drain your ped card, guys. This is exactly how you do it. Because even like, unless we get like 10 ped and TT value back, I won't be very impressed by this. Just because this is the exact same level. And I know some of you guys are going to say, well, why don't you just use the Terramaster 5? Even though I mentioned it in the video and I mentioned it previously. Because it's like, oh, if you use the Terramaster 5, you would have been actually upgrading and could get better hits. But the problem is I'm still on a learning period with it. You know, the search depth is like 850 on the 5, I think. But my skills only allow me to search. I'm not going to double drop anymore with this. But my skills only allow me to search like 700 and like 30 or 40, maybe 750. Actually, I think it said 770. So around 750, 770 search depth. So I'm losing out on 100 search depth in using the Terramaster 5 right now with my current skills. So I got the F-106. I don't need to mine this way. This is just, and all we're getting is crude and list. Like, this is not how you mine, guys. Please. Like, if you want to gamble, if you want to go for the swirlies, if you want to see just a big Hoff, fine. And honestly, yes, there is Bloss too, but I look at Bloss almost no differently than List most of the times. Sometimes the market will be good for Bloss, but most of the time it's very similar to List. If you're lucky, you can get 3% on your Bloss if you're lucky. Um, yeah, but it's like, this is what I'm talking about when I say like the streamers that I've seen just losing hand over fist going in with like 300 ped, going for them swirlies, and they're getting all low markup stuff and losing a butt ton TT. I saw one stream where homie put in 4,000 ped, 400 bucks. Dude, he came out of that run with 1,200 ped. If my math is correct, I'm pretty sure that's below a 33% return. Bro, at that point, spin slots. Your chances of actually making money are higher. Just because the slots will actually get you a good hit and you'll be able to have that money the next day. I mean, I don't know. But if you're going for swirlies and hops, that's fine. If you're just trying to get on the leaderboard and you don't care what the resource is or whatever, that's fine. That is completely fine. But it's not efficient. If you're trying to play for the longevity, if you're trying to play efficient, if you're trying to make your ped stretch further so that you can cycle more and play more, kind of like what I mentioned in the last video, or not the last video, but the play more, spend less video. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you run this consistently, you're gonna lose a bunch in the long term, and you're just gonna keep redepositing and just keep giving MindArc that money. And if you're that type of person doing that and you're like annoyed and you're like, why? Well, that is why. Because you're not being as efficient as you possibly could. That's why I spent 200 bucks on a finder, because I knew the returns in the long term were going to be very beneficial. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine what this run would look like if we were using the F-106 with the amp. I definitely want to use the level 5 amp with the F-106 on another run, just so that we can compare and see which run came out the best. We'll even do it in the same land area. That way it's 100% fair. All right, we'll just drop right here. Oh wow, I forgot they got huge level fouls here. I wish I could take on those guys. I'd love to see what kind of stuff they might be able to drop. And I do want to save this for a few runs, that way, and the amp too. That way, if you guys want to make suggestions if on places I should go with this setup and do a run, we can definitely do that. And I want to save a little bit on this so that we can do that. That way, the best should that way the best suggestion we can just do that, and then we'll see. Because who knows? Maybe I shouldn't be running this here. I highly doubt it because this is Tower Town and there's a tower. I don't know if the tower's still here. Do you guys want to go check on the tower? See if the tower's still here? I think the tower might be gone now. It should be gone. Um, but I mean, this is Tower Town, so I mean, it. I feel like it would be even more inefficient to go to FOMA or something. I feel like the only suggestion I wouldn't take is if it was like FOMA or something. Like, what do you guys think? Should we take this setup to the Arcadia Underground? Do you think we should just take this? Maybe we should. Maybe I'll do that. Unless someone has a better idea for me on Calypso, we might take this setup. We'll keep going until we have 100 ped left on the amp. And then we might take this setup. Oh yeah, and then with the amp, we're spending 4 ped each drop. So each drop with the amp, we're spending 7 ped per drop now, versus like 2 ped a drop max with decay with the F106 unamped. So that's what I'm saying. But we might just take this setup after this video. We'll take this setup to the Arcadia Underground. There's a specific spot I really want to mine in the Arcadia Underground, and that is a future video coming, as well as a very special video while we're there. I'm not going to say much more than that right now, but I want to see how this setup can do, and then we will compare it with the F106. However, we're not going to buy another amp because I'm not spending another 200 ped to amp up again. Just because the efficiency isn't the best. Like if we were running the level 5 with maybe a TerraMaster 6 and we were fully efficient to use that finder, that might work out well. I'm not 100% on that. That's something I have to test out, but um yeah, dropping that. Ooh, that was convenient. Hey, we got something. Cave sap. I think that's half decent. See, and here's the thing too. I think I mentioned this in another video. Maybe not. Maybe we'll go on a rant real quick. Um, so there's a specific reason why I always go for ores and end matter. Because just like there, if I was just going for the ores, I wouldn't have gotten a hit. Now, you can argue that I'll have a lot more hits if I don't, which we could try that. The only reason I don't like doing just ores or just end matter, and mainly just ores, because there's really no reason to just do end matter unless you're looking for specifically end matter, um, is just because while I'm skilling, I want my skills to be close and to be balanced with each other. That way I can skill both prospecting and surveying at the same time without having to worry. Now, once I'm higher, like way higher level, and if I'm just going straight for a returns run, then yeah, I would probably try to just go ores because I would get a lot more drops out of it. Well, not even like, I mean, you're getting an extra, I think it's like 55% drops out of it when you just do prospector. And then you get like double or triple the amount of drops if you just do end matter. But I also never saw the benefit of just doing ores. Like I never saw the benefit of it because like I've done it before, and when I was like doing way lower level mining, I was doing it, and it just like it didn't seem like there was any benefit to it. I mean, yeah, longer run, but I mean, since you're only looking for one thing, you're going to miss a lot more drops. So it's going to average out to about the same anyway. And there's a decent amount of end matters that are pretty good. The one thing I don't really go for is treasure. Even when we go to Arcadia, we're not going to do treasure hunting, and I know everyone's probably going to yell at me for it, but I've never saw a benefit of treasure hunting. I mean, from what I've seen, the markup's not there, and there's really no use for the items for the most part. I mean, yeah, with crafting maybe, but I mean, dude, a small, bruh. This is what I'm saying. We could get the same results just using the F-106 and probes. Just because you're spending more and just because you're amping up to get bigger hits does not mean that's the way to go at all. And I've done a lot of testing with this like off camera, and now I'm kind of just retesting and kind of proving a lot of the things that I've discovered on video now. Just because I see like there's just like I mean to me this makes no sense if I have the F106. If I didn't have the F106, I get it. This might be the only way to go. But at that point, instead of spending 500 ped at one time, and then like once you do that 4 or 5 times, you're at like 2,000 to 2,500 ped. You might as well have just spent the $170, the 1,700 ped, and get an F106 that has 3 tiers unlocked, and now you can run efficient mining runs for a really long time while still getting skills. And you don't gotta redepot. Because I know because of this, I'm gonna have to replace that 500 ped now. Like I'm gonna have to replace it. Like unless and I could be wrong. Like I'm gonna all the loot we get from this setup, we're gonna keep separate from everything else I have in storage, and we're gonna see what our profit loss is. Because our profit loss on average with the F106, if we did something similar like this with 500 ped, our loss would probably at the very max, our loss would probably be around 70 ped. And then our max gain would probably be like in the 490s, roughly, maybe 480s. Like as far as profit, like return, like the return being like 480, 490 in total, um, give or take a little bit. So I'm curious to see. We're gonna see how much we spent this run too, and we're kind of gonna go off of that. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 more drops with this amp, and then we're gonna call this run. And with a run like this, I'm calling it more so by the amp than anything because I wanna make sure that I can kind of amp up again, at least one more time. There's another place on Arcadia I'd like to amp up, and that's going to be the special video, but I'm not going to amp up there because I really want to amp up in one specific area in the underground, and I'm sorry, but I'm not spending another 200 ped. I'm not doing it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. At least for me. At least with my current bankroll and what I have to spend, it's not worth it. If I did this, I'd say in 10 runs, or maybe not 10 runs, but 10 instances of going through this whole buying process of spending 500 ped for the amp and the finder and the probes. After 10 times of doing that, I'd probably have to redeposit and have a much lower bankroll, um, or I'd have to redeposit the entire bankroll I already had. And that's why I'm saying like this makes no sense to me. Even if you don't have an F106, this doesn't make sense to me because you can buy an F105 on auction for cheaper than what I'm spending here. An F105 on auction, I believe right now is going for what, 2 something to 3 something 100 ped. Like dude, you're going to spend 500 ped or at least 400 ped between just the equipment doing this. I mean, to me, this makes no sense at all. Like, at all. Like, I get if I was like a high, like a super uber high level, and I was using like a TerraMaster 10, I believe it goes up that high, or something like crazy like that, like a super high level one or a super high level finder that's like insane. I don't even know. I can see that because, the F106 at tier 10 is only going to get you so far. And if you're looking for possibly to get something crazy, you know, something like a TerraMaster 7 or 8 at a super high level is going to get you what you're looking for more so than what you're going to get from the TerraMaster 4. Like, this is no different than running the F106. I'm telling you guys. If I wanted to waste more money, I would have gotten another level 5 and attached it to the F106. And we would just do back to back runs, spend like an hour or two just like comparing the two. But I am not going to do that because I already know what will happen. I already knew what was going to happen going into this one. But I mean, I could be wrong because we haven't looked at the returns yet. But I have a pretty good feeling it's not going to look good. All right. So we're gonna end it there. We're gonna take this to Arcadia most likely, unless someone gives me a better idea. We're definitely taking this setup to Arcadia. We'll run the rest of this 100 through the Arcadia Underground just to get an idea. Because that's the main reason why I want to go to the Underground anyway, is I'm just trying to get an idea of some areas down there as far as mining goes for future references. Um, so let's equip this guy. So our spend on this run is 100 ped on the amp. Oh my god, this is so bad. Okay, 100 ped on the amp. Guys, seriously, this is not the way to mine. Now, I will say I'm very surprised and pleasantly pleased with the Terramaster Decay. I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with that. 47 out of 147, almost 148. So we only spent 2 ped from the decay. Thank God. See, the decay might make this finder actually worth it, but do not amp it. Please don't amp it, because that's where all of our costs went. And I mean, like I said, we have the F106. It's pointless for us to use this. We might just resell it. We might just sell it back for maybe 5 or 10% less just to get rid of it. um, once we're done with Arcadia, at least. That way we can give it a little more of a chance, but we'll probably end up giving that back to the market. Just because when you have this, you don't really need this. Yes, comparatively, it looks a little better because you got 741 versus 711. But once this is at tier 4, it's going to be the same. And even though you're spending a lot to upgrade, in the long term, you're going to have an easier time getting your money back because this is going to decay to pretty much dead, and then you're not going to be able to use it. Um, versus this, where even if you're spending a lot more than on this will technically last you up to level 50, probably, if you're going for eco. But if you're going for eco, number one, I wouldn't amp in general if you're going for eco. Number two, if you're going for eco, if you're gonna spend 2,500 ped in the long term, you might as well spend it on this versus multiples of this. Because this will last you forever. And then from there, you just gotta throw 20 ped in to repair it, and then you can use it forever. Um, so we spent 45 ped in probes. So we've spent 147 ped this run. Do you think we got it back? Not even close. And what did I say? 147, 30, 38 ped loss. What did I say? We were going to lose at least 30 ped? Yeah, 30 ped loss. And if we didn't amp up, I guarantee you our results would have been the exact same, if not maybe a tad bit worse with the F106. And I might make a video comparing the both. So we might do maybe 50 ped with the Terra Master, and then we'll do another 50 at another time, same place, same area, with the F106 unamped, just to show you guys that the Terra Master 4 at least is the exact same thing as the F106. And if the F106 that you're talking about is tiered up to like 6 or 7, then it's going to be the equivalent of the TerraMaster 5. And then if it's fully tiered at tier 10, this F106 will rival the TerraMaster 6 from what I've seen and the numbers I've crunched. That's why I got this, because I was trying to bypass getting the TerraMaster 4, the TerraMaster 5, and the TerraMaster 6, because I want to be able to level up with keep costs as low as I can with the same finder, have control of my repair costs and how much TT I'm spending on the finder and all that up until level 50. And then there we can start using like the TerraMaster 7 or maybe even the 6 depending on what the F106 looks like fully tiered. But the math is coming out to about 950 to over 1,000 for the F106 fully tiered. Not 100% on that. Never done it before, so I won't know until then. But anyway, guys, that's the video. I wanted to talk a little more about eco mining and the fact that this setup in the long term, you're gonna lose more. So here's the thing. The boring hits, the boring drops, the boring mining runs, that's what you want. You want the boring runs because the boring runs are going to get you back the most. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, we lost almost double our average that we usually would with the F106. Like this run probably wouldn't have been that bad if we used just the F106 and didn't amp up and went through 100 ped. We'd probably be around 90 ped. That's what I'm saying. Costs are way lower doing it this way overall with your runs. You are spending more up front, but I mean, I've already pretty much gotten my money's worth out of this finder because I feel like the amount of times I've run this F106 already, I would have run through like 6 of these Terra Masters probably, maybe 4 or 5. But I mean, yeah, it's insane. Oh, and like I said, very popular area. Um, but yeah, guys, that's the video. Um, be smart, do some calculations. It's one thing if you don't mind blowing ped, that's completely fine. But this is mainly for those people that are blowing through ped and they don't know why, and they're like, "What the hell?" You know. But if you know what you're doing is dumb, that's different. Like when I did that 800 ped run video for the first video coming back, I knew that was dumb. I knew it was 100%. But I was like, you know what? Let's just see. That was intentional gambling. As long as you're gambling intentionally in Entropia, I don't think that's a bad thing. As long as you know that's what you're doing, then that's fine. But you don't have to gamble in Entropia. Even though I'm not going to go into this subject again, but you don't have to be gambling if you don't want to. And I've taken the route of trying not to. Eh, we'll do one more. Why not? We've been walking and doing this outro forever, so why not see if we can hit one more thing? Nice. Now that wasn't with the amp though, which we could have and probably should have, because we would have been right at 100 if we did. But as far as Also, getting your markup loot though, like I feel like something like this is gonna be better at finding the high markup stuff as well. Because like with this finder, like we are getting way too much like list and crude for this area compared to when I use the F106. That's kind of the interesting thing. Um, and that's because the level for this finder is higher, so your efficiency is going to be lower. Anytime the level of your equipment goes up from what you're using, it's going to be harder to find stuff, and your efficiency is going to go down. But if you have the skills set in, and if you're doing something specific, and if you're not going too low level at a really high level, then you're good. Like being at level 50 using the Terramaster 4, I think is completely pointless. You're better off getting the F106 just because there's better options. But when you get higher and higher and go for those crazier and crazier finders, you're not going to have many alternatives. So then once you're at that higher level, 50, 60, 70, etc., then you can start using those crazy limited finders like the Terramaster 7 or 8 or whatever, or something even crazier than that series. Um, because there's a lot of different finders out there. Um, Mostly limited, obviously, kind of like hunting. Um, but for this level area, your best bet is to put the money out front for the F106 because you're going to get the same results, if not better results than the Terramaster 4. You're going to be able to get those results at a way earlier level than you would using the Terramaster 4, which is also huge. I mean, you could be level 15 and easily use the F106 and be totally fine versus the Terramaster 4 where you'll probably have a worse experience than I had, honestly. Um, but anyway, guys, now I'm kind of ranting. I'm going to end the video here. Hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.